Now we are recording, guys. Welcome to Fire Fridays with Dave. It is November 10th, 2023. I even got the date right this time. And we are so excited that you're here hanging out with us, talking about agent attraction at eXp Realty. Really excited to have our great friend, AJ Mida here. And I'm going to let AJ tell his story. But, you know, you saw in some of the intros, if you looked at it on social media and some of the things that we've shared in our group, an incredible story as a younger guy in the business, figuring it out and going through and starting from a position of being kind of behind the eight ball, and scrambling to make things work and to figure it out. And it's a true testament to what you can accomplish when you figure things out. You have the right model and you apply the right effort to it. And now, AJ, you are in Puerto Rico today, right?
I am, yep.
So he's zooming in from his beautiful place in sunny and beautiful Puerto Rico, where he's been able to take his family and build a great life there, and be financially free. So AJ, man, we're first of all, excuse me, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on with us, man. We appreciate it, and we're excited to hear your story. I'm going to let you take it from here and just run with it, and we'll ping some stuff and everything else. But I know you've got so much to share. I just want to let you roll.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Excited to be here. It's been awesome getting to know you and Kristen a little bit over the years and hang out at the events. So it's been a pleasure for sure. You guys are absolutely amazing. So appreciate you having me on, and I'm really looking forward to this call. Really, my goal today is just to share my story. Hopefully it inspires some of you to take action that you probably maybe already been thinking, maybe I should call a couple agents a week or whatever it might be, or maybe you're just starting on your attraction journey, whatever it might be. I just want to inspire and leave you with some tactics that you can use to really build wealth through revenue share, build some residual income through rev share, whatever your goals might be. So I got started in real estate, man, gosh, it's been over a decade now. Can't believe it. Fourth quarter, 2012, started at Keller Williams, great company. Enjoyed my time there. Wasn't really looking to switch companies when I joined eXp. However, I was looking to create financial freedom, and I discovered I wasn't anywhere near or closer to that at Keller Williams, even though I was becoming one of the top agents in that office, making great money. I just really wasn't getting any closer to that financial freedom. And honestly, that's the reason I got into real estate. I always have this book on my desk as a reminder, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that my goal was to build financial freedom, because growing up, I didn't have a lot of money. I saw actually a lot of struggle from lack of money. So I knew that for me and my family one day to not have the issues, the struggle, the pain that can come from growing up lower class, lower middle class, that I was just going to work as hard as I could not to have that. And most importantly, or maybe equally importantly, I wanted to do it with residual income, because I didn't want to be away from my family 50, 60 hours a week when I eventually started to build a family, and now I have a 3 and a 1 year old. So joined eXp, and I had a simple goal. I had a 5-year plan. I was going to keep selling real estate like I always had. I had built a small team by this time. This was early 2017. And we were selling close to 100 homes a year with my team. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing that, keep coasting at that pace, and part-time build my wealth, build my freedom through rev share. And at the time, what I thought that would look like, I was like, you know what? I bring on about 5 agents a year to my team, because there's so much turnover. I mean, my team only had 5 agents, on average at any given time, but the good ones leave and the bad ones you gotta get rid of. And if you have a team, you know what that looks like. So I was already bringing on like 4 or 5 agents to my team a year. So I was like, well, if I just do that at eXp with rev share, what could that look like? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring on 5 agents a year to eXp, because the value proposition is so much higher than it is with, local and Charlotte Mida real estate. There's so much more opportunity for people to join eXp than my local real estate team. So sure, I can bring on 5 a year. And I thought if I did that for 5 years, I'd have 25 total that I brought on, and those 25 would share it with agents at their previous office, maybe some cross-sale agents, maybe some agents they're in coaching programs with, whatever. And that would build out into a total organization of 500, which would net me personally $25,000 a month, which was my dream financial freedom number. And the good news is it didn't take quite that long. It actually only took 18 months. I ended up bringing on about 1 a month. So I sponsored 22 agents in those first 18 months. And that turned into an organization of 500. And it worked out to a T. June 18th, 2018, I did a Facebook Live, so I'm reminded of it every year now, which is really cool with my wife. And that day we hit 500, and then just a few days later, when we get our rev share, it was $24,490, and that bought our dream financial freedom. And just a few months later, we decided to sell our house in Charlotte, retire from selling real estate, traveled the country for a year in an RV, and really just kind of enjoyed that bucket list adventure that we wanted to go on a few years prior, and worked from the road about 10 hours a week for almost a year, just doing Zoom calls, kind of like this. And then at the end of that, we landed in Puerto Rico, and now travel a lot, and our primary residence is in Puerto Rico. We love it. So that's my story. And I'll kind of take it whatever way you want to take it from here, Dave.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So like, there's a couple of questions on there, but first of all, you got up to 500 in what, 18 months?
Yes.
Okay. And now how many years has it been total?
Yeah, so January 1 will be the start of my 8th year with eXp, which is crazy to think. Wow.
So you went in 18 months, you went to 500, and then the next, whatever it is, 5.5 years or whatever beyond that, you're up. Where are you now?
Yeah, started to accelerate for sure. So just right around 6,700 agents.
That's awesome. Did you ever think, was the 6,700 number, was that ever in your head?
It wasn't, to be honest. My best model of what this could look like was what profit share at Keller Williams kind of looked like. And I remember knowing that one of the owners of my region was making like 20 grand a month. And my team leader was like, AJ, this could be you one day. And this guy, I only seen him one time ever. he came in one day from KW Red Day. And it was almost like this, this like unicorn. It was like, wow, I want to do that, because he was always like fishing in Alaska. So the legend goes, like fishing in Alaska, just living this amazing life of adventure. And I was like, that would be amazing. So I was like, that's gonna be around 25,000 a month, and that was just the goal. And that was kind of the top opportunity for the most part when I saw with profit share, not knowing how much better revenue share really is. So. And it's cool too. Like a lot of agents, I think, Dave, get discouraged. They're like, "Wow, gosh, you've been here, 7 years, 6,700 agents. That's insane. Is that opportunity still there? Will it take longer? Or like whatever they might start thinking about the opportunity, and maybe doubting the opportunity a little bit." And I'm always like, 6,700 agents is amazing, and I'm so grateful for it. And at the same time, I was free at like 200 agents. Like my expenses then were like $6,000. I was free at like 200 agents. Like, and what was important to me was freedom. So I accomplished that at such a small number that my dream financial freedom was at 500. And I do this exercise with agents where it's like, figure out what your vision is. What would you like to have be? What kind of giving do you want to be doing? Vacations, all that kind of stuff. Add it up. Like, what is the monthly cost? So you're forward projecting 3 to 5 years out, and you actually figure out the cost. Okay, the house on the lake is going to be $7,000 a month. The Range Rover I want to give me $1,000. I want to donate $5,000 a month. Whatever it is, it usually comes out to, for most people, $15,000 a month is their dream financial freedom number. I've actually never heard a number over 25,000, and I've done this in rooms of a couple hundred people. And my point in saying that is just, you could probably have your dream financial freedom number anywhere between like 300 and 500 agents at eXp. And that opportunity is here today. The 10,000 agent opportunity is still here today, but the 300 to 500 agent opportunity, like that's here if you really get to work within the next 2-3 years, like very realistic. We have guys and gals still doing it in my organization today. So it's exciting. That's what I'm passionate about, is just financial freedom is like the deal.
Yeah. And the pace of growth, when you first came in, the company was adding a couple of hundred agents a month, right? Now we're adding a couple thousand agents a month. Yeah. So, where people kind of say, oh, those are the early days. And, there's some, you can look at it both ways, right? Getting in early has benefits, and getting in late has benefits, because, you had to invent a lot of things that didn't exist yet at the company. You had to talk about things that were coming versus things that already are here now. It was it was, EXP who in a lot of markets
Mhm.
back then, right? Nobody heard of us. We were this weird, virtual company, and I got to be an avatar and that kind of stuff. So there were things that
Yeah.
you had to contend with that people don't have to contend with now. So it's a very different story, and that the rate of growth is faster now than it was back then. So
Mhm.
certainly from here, 6 months down the road, we're going to have a faster, there are going to be more agents joining. So certain people can get
Exactly.
from where they are right now to where you are right now faster than 6 years if you apply all those growth numbers. Excuse me. So when you first started out growing, you came here and you're learning the company and figuring out how we were different from where you'd come from, KW and everything else, and you started talking to agents. What did you find worked for you? When you had the conversation, what was it that, because you probably started out trying a couple of different things, talking about it and everything else. What was it that kind of clicked for people? How'd you approach that?
Yeah, early on it was pretty organic, and what I teach is starting with people that pretty basic, right? But creating your top 100 list, and I find that most agents that have been in the business 5 years or more can come up with a list of 100 agents pretty easily if they sit down and actually write them out. And that's exactly where I started. I didn't actually like sit down and write a top 100 list because that thought process didn't exist then. It was just like good luck, like we didn't have stuff like this 7 years ago. But I started with people that I had known in the industry. So from early, I mean, from 6 months in and on, I always had a real estate coach, and that served me really well. So that's something that if you're still in production, which most agents are at eXp, obviously, be in coaching programs, hire a coach, go to the conferences because you meet so many great agents. And I was really purposeful to do that even before I joined eXp, and those relationships served me really well. Previous office, just volunteering at that previous office helped. So you could volunteer at like your local board. You could teach like local masterminds to any agent at any brokerage, things like that, just to really add value before like just pitching EXP. So that first year was really organic. The first year, what it looked like was I was just busy selling real estate. I wasn't mindful really of attraction that much because it was kind of like the faith in the opportunity was there, but it was just faith. Like we really didn't know it was going to work like we do now. Now I always say it's like, now we know it works. It's just will you show up and do the work? Back then it was like, even if I show up and do the work, like, is this company really gonna last? Like we were on the NASDAQ, it's just like there was a lot of things that didn't exist back then. So I was just like, if I had someone for the most part ask me about it, I would share the video. We still teach this. Never present it yourself. Don't EXP all over them. Actually share with them a recorded presentation. Ideally, you watch it with them or invite them maybe to a local lunch and learn. So that's a big tip. Don't try to share it yourself because you end up just EXPing all over them. Not good. Doesn't work. And then I went to my close connections that I had, and I kind of put them in a friendly headlock and was like, you got to look at this. And with those people, and there's people, everyone watching or listening to this in the future, like there's people in your life, agents, that you could put them in a friendly headlock. It might not be comfortable, but that's what you need to do because they're already like, I know about EXP, I've heard about it, or they just got their head in the sand. And it's going to take someone, hopefully you, to actually kind of shake them and say, you got to look at this. As my friend, I care enough about you to really put on the pressure. So that first year, a handful of people asked me, and there was like less than 5 that I put in that friendly headlock, and probably 7 out of 10 joined. Because what we found is if you follow the process, and I teach a 4-part process, which is pique their interest. That's just, a couple sentences to pique their interest, get them to confirm, like set the appointment, right? To watch the presentation. We call that the present part of the process. So yeah, pique, present, and presenting again is having them watch a presentation, not you explaining it. And then we have pass, that's the three-way call. Then we have promote, which is the follow-up after the three-way call. And what I found is that from day one, the top attractors at the company were already following that process. We just didn't have a name or a process built out. It was just kind of like natural, what we thought was the best thing to do. It's kind of like, real estate sales. You got to prospect them, then you got to do a listing or buyer presentation. Then you probably just do lead follow-up. If they don't sign, there's not really a three-way call with real estate sales, but very similar. So that's what I did the first year. Once I kind of burned through my initial list, it was more cold market for sure. And for me, cold market has always been social media, which is still kind of warm. One thing that I did early on is I would go to different Facebook groups. This is something that everyone can do. And I would just friend request everybody in that group that I could. I'd set go like 50 a day, 100 a day. If they weren't at eXp, I would friend request them. Pretty simple. So now what you have is you have all these friends on Facebook who are realtors that are not at eXp. So when you post, they see your post. And when they post, if you see something you like, you can like it or comment on it. You can send a private message to them when they accept your friend request and just say, hey, Dave, it's AJ. Just wanted to reach out. Thanks for accepting my friend request. I saw that you're over there in Arizona. Just wanted to see if you ever have clients moving to Charlotte, I'd love to work with them and vice versa. Something like that, just to get some dialogue going, because it does help the Facebook algorithm. And then those become warm prospects that you can prospect at a later date with more of like a direct pitch to eXp. So that's what I found to work for me. It's just a little bit of activity over a long period of time. I've sponsored about 2 agents a month since I've been with the company, and it's turned into something really special. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm taking a ton of notes over here. What's funny is, we bring in different people every Friday to talk about their journey, right? And kind of what they found work for them. And everyone's got a different style, different personality, different skill sets, different backgrounds, different relationships, and all of that. But there's always a lot of commonality, right? I mean, what works. It's not rocket science. And so people tend to overcomplicate it, and they see an outlier who does something crazy with YouTube or something else like that, which is awesome, but not everyone can do that, right? And so not necessarily at that level, or whatever it is, they brought some other thing to the table, right? So one of the things you said is make a list, right? Which I think if we won't embarrass everyone on the call, but if we just said, all right, guys, how many of you have made your list? Like, how long have you been here? Have you made a list of people to talk to? Like, have you thought through like where are you getting your opportunity from? And so one of the things that I learned this going from being in sales, right, to then shifting over to growing brokerages. When I bought my first KW franchise, and I thought I had to do it all different to grow the brokerage. Now I was growing the brokerage. I had grown a pretty good sales business and lots of clients and everything else. Now I was growing a brokerage, totally different. So I tried everything totally different. And one day I had the epiphany that, man, like all the same stuff that worked to grow my sales business works to grow the brokerage. So, I had to know who I wanted to be talking to. I had to figure out who my potential clients were, right? Who am I looking to do business with? I had to kind of define that person. Who can I help? Right? Who can I help? And then you're talking about building relationships, right? And then being visible. Right, getting out there, whether you're, it's on social media and you're friending people and connecting with them, you're going to the coaching, you're going to coaching sessions, you're going to, industry events and that kind of stuff. You're getting out there with the people, so they're seeing, what you're doing and that kind of stuff. And then you're coming from contribution. And then I love the friendly headlock, right? And I think in order for that to work, you have to believe you have something that can help people, right? Because that, you're not strong arming someone into, like, you got to join here because I want to make rep share off of you, right? It's like, no, like, you got to listen. I want to help your business, and I can help your business. So I love that. So give me you gave us, it's funny because I use 4 P's as well, and I loved your 4 P's, but I was jotting down and I didn't get them all. So peak was the first one. Give me the other 4.
Yes.
3.
So pique their interest, present the model, pass them to a three-way call partner, and then promote the next event or call or whatever. These are the follow-up processes. Cloud Office tour, promote the next three-way call. Because if they're not ready to sign up, you always got to be thinking what could be the next step. And the faster you do that, those next steps, the better. So if you do a three-way call with somebody, to really respect everybody's time as the person setting up the three-way call, it's really good if you're already thinking what could be the next one if they're not ready to sign up yet, because then they're more likely to sign up. So yeah, those are the 4 Ps, and then we hammer those every single week to our group. So we just constantly teach the fundamentals, and we never stray from them, and it gets really boring, I think, for everyone listening, and for probably us explaining it, but they work. And what matters is getting good at those 4 steps. So it's practicing your scripts potentially. It's getting with other people locally that are in your organization and training together on what those scripts could be in those conversations. I think one thing, to go back to your initial question, Dave, one of the reasons we had a lot of success early on converting to, and this started more at the beginning of my second year, was we just started doing local lunch and learns. And it was very simple. It wasn't, this huge event that cost a lot of money where we had to train on how to get, 10 listings in 10 days or anything like that. It was just, hey, show up. It was Thursday at noon, every Thursday at noon. It was like, show up, have free lunch on us, and you're going to hear about eXp. That's all it was. And it's important in my mind when it comes to lunch and learn that they keep it super simple like that, because it's duplicatable and it can happen on a consistent basis with only a little bit of effort. Because at the end of the day, people are busy. You have a real estate business to run, you have a family probably, and other things that you like to do. So you want to keep it simple. And what that did for us there in Charlotte was, it made it easy for everyone in our organization to invite to the model, because you might be a rock star and you can build a large organization yourself and you have all these talents, but large organizations are built from many doing a little. So it allowed that person that was just running a million miles an hour in the real estate business and with their families to just say, hey, I want you to come to this lunch and learn on Thursday. Lunch is on me. Come check out and hear about what we're doing with eXp. And people took us up on the invitation. And sometimes those lunch and learns might have 2 or 3 people, and that's okay. But eventually it was able to build up to where there was 20, and then we were doing multiple a week around the city. And so even if it's just you in your city, in France, and it's you by yourself, ideally it's you and one other person, maybe it's the first person you signed up. If you just started getting together every week or every other week and hosting a lunch and learn, this could be in a private room in a coffee shop where you just buy the coffee for the recruit and maybe a croissant, and you just hit play on maybe the modelexplained.com with Brent Gove. Like it could be that simple. So it helps you get exposures easily. It creates I guess a false sense of urgency, because you actually have a date that's recurring where you actually got to call some people and get them there. So it actually gets you into action. And then I think one of the biggest side benefits that we didn't think of initially that it does is, once you have a small team of 4 or 5 people, emerging leaders in your organization, it gets them together every single week, and it gets the other maybe non-emerging leaders, but your other eXp agents in your organization, it probably gets them in the room at least twice a month if you're doing 4 of them. So they're being resold on the opportunity every single month, keeping your retention rates higher. So there's so many benefits to it. And I think that, especially, this is probably even more important now than it was back when I started. I think the ones that are really going to win moving forward are the ones that really build strong locally. And maybe your market's already super saturated. That's something that I hear often. I can tell you there's massive producers in your market and a whole lot more agents that are still coming. But you could also go to a neighboring market at the same time. Like I said, we had multiple going on around the Charlotte, South Carolina area, and we did it for a long time. So I think that's really the number one thing that someone that's really looking to take this serious could start tomorrow. That's simple, it's low cost or free, and it really moves the needle, and it makes it fun because you start to build camaraderie. You get more confidence by feeding off the energy of the other people in your team. We used to do some call nights sometimes. I remember going over Bill Price's house one time, and we're all in his little movie theater calling people to come to the next event. And it was awesome. To be honest, it was one of my favorite times at eXp, having that local camaraderie and doing that together. So that'd be really awesome if you guys started that.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So, all right, so you got about, you said about 2 a month on average, right? It's kind of been your pace. So when you look at your front line right now, roughly what size is your front line, the people you've directly sponsored?
So I have 76 FLAs.
There you go. Okay, so 76 agents, right? And I think it's really important because that's over 6-7 years, right? And so it's important for people, and people look at these numbers and they go, oh, 6,700 agents. That's, how that's, I got to be a full-time recruiter to get to that level. But when you start to go down and go, okay, that, over this time frame, it's 67 agents, and now we're starting talking about 2 a month. And some months are 0 and some months are 4, right? I mean, it averages out. But the power in the size of your organization is in that duplication. It's in the organization growing, as it, and all that leverage that you get from those people that are there. So creating something like a lunch and learn, really, I mean, it's way more powerful in a pack, right, than it is going out there and trying to do it solo. And so I love that. And you get together, it takes out some of the nerves of like, oh, it's all on me to explain all this. Excuse me. I love that you can use the video, right? Bring people in. And then you're like, well, who's going to be the one to explain eXp? Who's going to stand up front with a projector and everything else? It's like, hey, we're going to get together in a coffee shop, get a handful of people around here, get a, 15, 17 inch, laptop or something like that you can flip up and let everyone see it. Take them through and pause the video once in a while and see if they have questions, emphasize a point, something like that, and take them through that process. Excuse me. But if you have, 2, 3, 4 people that are in a local market, and you can each be inviting people there, if you're all there, so now you got 3, 4 people sitting in a room, and then each of you have brought at least one person, you got 6 or 8 people sitting there, and that feels like a real meeting. It feels like a real group. It doesn't take that much to kind of have some oomph to it, and make it fun. So I love that. I mean, I think that is, I look back and I can't think of too many of the really, really big growth leaders in the company that did not at some point, and some still do, many still do, use that lunch and learn concept. And I remember Gene Frederick telling me, he said, Dave, we were both, recruiters, right? At KW, we were team leaders, and we were recruiting people one at a time. And he said, man, we were doing it wrong the whole time. We were talking to people, one at a time, all the time. So the power of a group, and there's a lot of that where people start to go, yeah, this is really exciting. And the other people catch that spark in the conversation as well and go, man, like I was starting to kind of think this was cool, but I didn't want to be embarrassed. But now these other people are saying it's cool. And it really kind of gets them going, hey, we should all go do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's what I find a lot of people won't do that is because they're afraid of starting small. They're almost embarrassed to start small. They're like, well, what if only one person shows up? Well, I got a script for that. When you have the invitation, you say, hey, I'm just inviting a couple of people to come look at the opportunity of partnering with me at eXp. And I want to share what we're going to do in this local market. Would you be available to come Thursday at noon? And you might say that to 10 people and one person shows up and it's all good. But then eventually, more show up. It's exponential growth. You really can't have a big organization if you don't start super small, So
yeah,
I learned that early.
Yeah, right. So that was an awesome script. And the guys, obviously this is recorded, so you can go back and kind of go through and kind of make that your own. But we'll wrap up with this. Kyle had asked a question about your general approach to people, like to get to a meeting and that kind of stuff. And the one that you just gave was for, to invite them to a lunch and learn. If you wanted to approach an agent that that would be somebody on your list, and you want to open that door to that meeting and say, hey, I really want to talk to you about, eXp, what kind of approach do you use? You have something like either a script or just a general way that you approach that?
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen the Rob Flick video from way back when, where he does the full eXp explained and then does a little training, it's really just that script. It's like an open-minded script. So it could be like, hey, Dave, it's AJ, I was just giving you a call. Awesome deal we just did. It looked like it almost didn't come together, but it did last minute. Really appreciate your work on that. Well, hey, I want to give you a call because, as you know, I'm with eXp and we're really looking to build this area. I'm just looking for a handful of people to partner with. and you seem like somebody that would be a great fit. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but eXp actually compensates its agents 3 different ways. Of course, through a low competitive commission split, but also 2 additional ones, one being residual and the other one being equity in the company. Would you be open-minded to taking a look at how you actually might be able to make more money and build wealth through eXp? So it's something like that. You kind of do a little sizzle. Maybe you can throw in the three main benefits, which I believe are low split and cap, stock and rev share. And then you say, would you be open-minded? And most people are going to say no. Like that's the reality of it. But if you practice your scripts and if you have some enthusiasm when you say it, your results are a lot better. And in all reality, your warm market, if you say something like that too, like people that actually know you, probably most will say yes. If you do it right, they'll at least look at it. And then that's when you got to take the opportunity to watch it with them. Don't just send them a video. You're shooting yourself in the foot. It's like if you set a $10 million listing appointment for next week on Wednesday, you're probably going to spend all weekend preparing. You're going to be praying to God on the way there that you get the listing. You're going to show up in your best clothes that you have. You're going to be excited. You're going to just like do everything you can to get that listing. But yet you set the appointment with a top producing agent that said they'd look at the presentation. You just send off your listing presentation for them to watch it, hope they watch it, and then you forget, thinking that they're going to call you back, and then it's a week later and you're like, oh, hey, did you watch that video? And they're like, oh yeah, I did. And they watched it while they were washing the dishes and their kid was screaming, and they didn't listen to any of it. But they watched it, so now you can't go back and say, well, hey, did you really watch it? Like, you just lost that opportunity. So watch it with them. That would be probably the best piece of advice that I could leave you with, that if you're not doing it, that could change everything for you.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. All right. So guys, that's the approach. And it's easy to try to overcomplicate it. And, and it's also easy to try to sell it during the invitation, right? That's one of the temptations we have is we're trying to, we want to invite them to talk to us about it. And then we want to tell them all the reasons why they should sit down and talk to us about it. And we end up selling them, eXpewing all over them, as AJ called it, in the conversation. Like, oh, don't you want to talk about this? We got this. And so it's like, hey, if it's about them and it's about an opportunity, really want to share this with you. If you believe it and you believe that it's about helping them succeed, it's going to come across as authentic. Watching the video with them. And then the next thing is get them to that third party. I've been recruiting for 20 years. Okay. I have a lot of time on task over time. I've done over 8,000 one-on-one recruiting appointments with agents to talk about moving their business over to a brokerage. Okay. I still, when I'm talking to a friend of mine or someone that I know well, and I'm trying to recruit them to eXp, I made that mistake of thinking like, well, I know all the scripts. I know how to overcome objections. I know all the things about the company. Who am I going to bring them to? I know all the stuff. And it is so much harder without that third party validation to really break through and do that. You're almost too close, so to speak. So that third party validation, that pass, the third P, pass to a partner, right? And bring them in and do that three-way call is so powerful. Excuse me. Guys, I apologize for all my coughing today. Hopefully this will be going in a day. AJ, man, this is really good stuff. I got a page of notes on here. Hopefully you guys have a ton of notes. I'm going to be posting this so you can go back and check out the video. But we appreciate you bringing all of your experience and all this great info to us. This is awesome. Really, really good stuff.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. It was fun.
That is great. All right, guys, good stuff. We're gonna download this and talk about it as a group and everything else like that, and then we'll pick AJ's brain on some of these things as we circle back on it. So guys, thanks for being here. Have an awesome Friday. AJ, all the best to Abby and the kids. Love you guys.
Thank you, AJ.
Thanks. Thank you, guys. Feel better, Dave.
Thank you, brother. I feel fine.
Hey,
it's just my throat is killing me. All right. See you guys. Have an awesome Friday.
Later, guys.